What is this boon rock capable of? Balance. What kind of balance? Dominate opulence. Balance. Dominate opulence. Yo. Treading lightly down and across sand-belted mountain pathways, we march closer south toward a settlement. I can sense that these two were eager to leave this region. The urgency in their steps has not faltered even as we approach the sand. I honestly don't even trust them, and I'm sure they can throw me just as far. And while on the topic of violence, if something were to get dire, they straight up outnumber me. I glance down at my dull blade, resting on my waist, its luster muted by sandy breezes. Could I even impale a throat with this if I wanted to, I ask myself. I look up to ensure eyes weren't on me as I retrieved one of the stones found on my body when I woke up. Cupped in the center of my palm, there was a certain familiarity about it. I feel that it had meaning. This rock resonated with me. The way I flesh out my character is going to be heavily dependent upon my abilities because our strangers, we are embodiments of our two abilities. That's how we're going to contribute. That's how we're going to navigate through this world. And yes, you can learn more things, but this is your bread and butter. You know, these two abilities, they're your high rank abilities. Everything else is untrained and unlearned. They're low. But these two abilities are high. And everything else you learn from scratch. You have no memories. That's why I said that these abilities were called memories. I rolled what I remembered. So one of my abilities was runes. Runes is a doozy because not only do I want to replace the idea of runes as we know it, rocks imbued with magic that you can channel your magic into and so on and so forth. I want to build the concept of what a rune is from scratch. And I'm going to roll that. The intention of really trying to start from scratch whenever we can. You know, there are going to be times where I probably won't. For example, I like the concept of a sword. Sword's a sharp, pointy object. You know, are we going to create everything from scratch? It's possible to do that as well. I want to replace the idea of a rune. We're going to roll that. We're going to roll that. This is going to change everything. Not only am I going to change the name, runes. Our strangers' names are epithets. They are nicknames based off of what you do, or your two abilities will govern what your name is. Just to keep it simple. And yeah, you can have as many nicknames as you want, but as a stranger, very similar to how Argonians are in Elder Scrolls, hides his eyes or walks at night. You know, rises with sun. You know, their slave names in the lore of Elder Scrolls was based off of their actions and things that they did, and I'm sure there's more lore about it. But an epithet is I think Transformers, their names are, I think they're epithets like Rat Trap, Cheetor, no. Anyway, I came up with the epithet Rune Seer because I was good, had knowledge of runes, right? Knowledge of runes, and I'm a very alert stranger. I'm very alert and perceptive. I have insight, and that combined, I'm a wise man that knows about such a thing as runes. It's pretty arcane. I'm wise, and I have a perception, specific perception for runes, but maybe other things as a result of that. So I'm perceptive. I'm a seer. I can see. I'm a seer of things. I see. And let me see about these runes that you're bringing me. Let me see it. Let me read your palm. Because you've been touching the runes. Let me read your palm. Make sure your palm, the rune dust ain't getting on your palm or something. I'll read your future from the rune dust, the rune residue that got in your palm. I'm a rune seer. Give me the residue. You know what I mean? If I'm changing what runes are called, if I'm changing runes out and building it from scratch, my name can't be rune seer is what I'm saying. Long story less long. My name can't be. Long story less long, my name can't be rune seer, you know what I mean? On top of that, when I was playing that game and recording it and playing, somewhere along the way, I rolled twice to see if I knew what one of the rolls, I rolled twice for each rune to see if I knew what it could do. And I failed on one, and that's the one that I have that that's like my side quest. That's like my personal side quest now, is to figure out more information on this rune, because I look at that as like my left hand. You know, these runes are my way of surviving. So if I can't tap into a particular rune because I'm not smart enough or I don't know anything about it, that's a priority of mine. So I look at that as something to stay alive for. And maybe it's like the ultimate rune or something. Who knows? It all depends on what the meta black wills for us. But I failed that one, but the one that I was successful with, I don't remember what I rolled and I lost the roll, and I need that. Okay, I need that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-roll. So first things first, when I think of runes, I think of things that you channel magic into. Now, I already established that these were like little rocks, and that's my bad. I jumped the gun there. I'm going to honor that. It's not a bad thing. But that's where it stops, and how close it is going to be related to what we know are runes from all the fiction that we know. And that doesn't have to always be the case. But it's been established already that they can be written and printed on objects. So that's really where it stops as well. That is something that it will have in common with other runes. But we have to really go left field now. Now that we know that it's something that can be written on something, we have to really go left field now. I don't want there to be anything very similar, including the name. So that means we have to figure out what these runes are. And I have some very important questions that I need to ask the meta black. We all know what runes are and what they're capable of. They're heavily associated and tied to magic as well. Are runes in this world tied to magic? And I understand the magic isn't even defined in this world yet, but is it tied to magic? I'm going to say unlikely, because I didn't see any runes associated with the cult of Plapindo's shenanigans. So I'm going to use that to justify saying unlikely. Let's go. Okay, so it is associated with magic. So it is consistent with magic, and obviously we don't know what magic is in this world yet, but it is tied to some other property is what we'll say for now. It's tied to another property. We're going to leave it at that. We're not going to be cornered and pigeonholed into what we think we know what magic is, because this is going to actually influence what magic ends up being, because this is the order in which things are being created. So it gets gets a little priority. It's all about using what you have now and what you know to build upward. I feel like I'm standing in front of the Dragon Balls. My question has to be, I gotta be careful with this. I don't want to chop off entire limbs of possibilities with a dumb question. Is it natural elements like earth, wind, water, and fire? Likely. That was my impression of Brian Regan. Does it have endless capabilities? Does it have endless capabilities? You know, is it something that is limitless in its power depending on how it's wielded? The odds of it having endless capabilities, I'm gonna leave it up to the Men of Black and say 50-50. Yes. How common is rune knowledge? How common is knowledge of these things? I'm gonna say unlikely. I think it would be unlikely. I feel like this is something that is ways apart from common day-to-day stuff, and that's just a guess. I'm only gonna say just unlikely, just a little bit unlikely. For all I know, everyone eats runes for cereal in this world. I'm just gonna say unlikely to play meta's advocate here. Is rune knowledge common knowledge? Unlikely. Is rune knowledge common knowledge? Unlikely. Oh, why can't you see my answer? Oh. Is rune knowledge common knowledge? No. Yo. It's not common, you know? That's why I think I would be a great asset to the Black Tower, you know? That's why, you know, you can't be the first stranger and not be an asset. You know what I mean? Look, it's not common to know. It's not common knowledge, but that's why you have me. Okay? I'll tell you everything you need to know. Free of charge. Look, I understand. Look, I understand that it's not common knowledge. But you're technically my brother. You're my sister. You're a stranger just like me in this world, in this dark world. And I know that it's not common knowledge, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to share that knowledge with you, sister, brother. All right, let me chill. Common knowledge, it's uncommon. It's not common. That was a good question. Is rune knowledge hereditary? It's a good question, right? 50-50. Leave it up to the Men of Black. No. But it's uncommon knowledge, though. You gotta learn it. Do runes, whatever this is. I understand it's linked to something like magic. But is it also linked to other things? I'm gonna say 50-50. Yes. Is it linked to all things? Unlikely, because it's so specific. I'm gonna say unlikely. No, it's not linked to all things. Is it a lot of things? Like a lot? 50-50. A lot of things, but not all things. Okay. Okay. A lot of things, but not all things. All right, I'm about to ask a heavy question here. This is gonna be heavy. This is a heavy question. Is every rune the same? Is every rune the same? I'm gonna say unlikely. Every rune is the same. Every rune is the same in terms of they are all the same shape. Maybe that wasn't a good question. I'm scratching that. Scratch that. I need another question. is this created by nature? Is this a natural, are runes natural, or are they man-made? Are runes natural? I'm gonna say 50-50. I'm gonna say 50-50. Yes, which means they're found in nature. Are they hard to find? Are runes hard to find? For the sake of the kind of excitement that I want around rune gameplay in my solo campaign, to kind of excite my, you know, my character personally and my experience that I'm going to have with my character, I'm leaning toward likely. I mean, look, right? This is my world, right? These are just little settings. It doesn't hurt anyone. It's somewhat likely that these are rare or hard to find. Yes. By a little bit. Look, 76. 80 would have been a no. So they're rare. Runes are rare. Okay. I'm lining it up for the ultimate question. The question that we really need is, what do they actually do? But if I know a little bit more about its properties, I'll know what questions to ask. It's a natural element. It's natural. It's a natural element. Are all runes operated the same? I'm gonna say somewhat. I'm gonna say unlikely. I'm gonna say very unlikely, because they're natural, right? So nature in itself is very rapid. I'm gonna say very unlikely that they are all operated the same. No, they're not all operated the same. Barely. All right. Gonna have to ask the serious questions now. Okay, I understand they have endless capabilities. Is that power already static within the rune? I'm gonna say somewhat likely. No. Does a rune's capabilities depend upon the person that is touching it or approaching it, interacting with it? I'm gonna say likely, based off of that answer that I just got there. Because where's the power coming from? It's got to be the other person, right? And if not, we'll figure it out. But does it depend upon the person? Actually, let me ask a simpler question. Is that power coming? Yeah, it's the same question. Is the power dependent upon the person? Well, no. Is the power is it the person that triggers the power? Is it a reaction to a person, to a living being, or it's whatever's interacting with it? Is it a reaction to whatever's interacting with it? I'm gonna say likely. I'm gonna say 50-50. I'm gonna say likely. I'm gonna say likely. Yes. That's where the power is coming from. It's coming from the synergy with a living. Well, I should probably ask that. So I understand that the power comes from the synergy, but is it only with living creatures? 50-50. Yes. Is it certain races? I'm gonna say likely. Oh shit, I'm not even recording the answers. Here. So the last question, the last answer was yes, and then this one was exceptional yes. So it's certain races. Only with particular races. Maybe it's something I only have. Because it's uncommon. Only certain races can interact with runes, and we know that strangers can. Because I'm a stranger, so I wonder what other races can and why. Let's ask now. Actually, I'm gonna ask RPG Solo. In RPG Solo, I have all of my generators and tables programmed into it. So I am using the Mythic system, which is created by Wordmill Games. Them in deck form, Game Master Emulator in deck form. Sorry. Back up a bit. Let's ask a question, because I'm curious. Why is it that only certain races can tap into this? What is it, or more so, what is it about? Yeah, I might as well ask the question for everyone, but what is it about me that, you know, can tap into this? Truce, benefits. Truce, benefits. Because our races have a truce with, sounds like a pact. I get it. Yo, look. So not all races. I'm interpreting that as every stranger is a different race. We're all strangers though, which is why we can all, if we had the knowledge, use, you know, interact with runes. Not all races, only some races. I'm going to say that it's strangers, and we are mysterious people from who are just appearing within this black tower. That truce / benefits is probably a connection that we have to the meta black. We have a truce with the meta black. We have a truce with something. We're going to leave that a mystery for now. We have a truce with something that we benefit from. And a truce, I like that word because that don't necessarily mean everything is all good and mutual. It's a truce, which implies there's leverage on both sides. Okay, looking forward to figuring out what that even means, but only strangers can tap into runes. It's exclusive to strangers for now. That's all we know, which I like. It's pretty dope. When it comes to these endless capabilities, what is the variance in capability from the mundane to the most fantastic? Magnitude. How much variance in magnitude are there with these runes? Is there variance at all? Is there variance at all? I'm going to say likely. Yes. Is it a lot of variance though? 50-50. No. So maybe I interpret that as there's levels to this. Not many levels, but there's levels nonetheless. So what that means for me is that is already uncommon. That means that highest level of magnitude is probably like, is the power of a rune finite? Is the power of a rune finite? Let's say 50-50. I'm gonna say likely. I'm gonna say somewhat likely. Is it easy to fulfill the resource needed for these runes? 50-50. Yes. But is it because they recharge? Do the runes recharge? I'm going to say somewhat likely. Yes, they recharge. Is them recharging based off of the person? Somewhat likely. Definitely not. Has nothing to do with them. We know that these runes have something latent. They all have latent power that is triggered once a stranger touches them. They have endless capabilities. So when I encounter these things, that's going to require obviously a knowledge check to see if I even know if I know how it works, because they're all operated differently. I believe I said. They're not all operated the same. Do they come in different shapes and sizes? I'm going to say unlikely. No. Are they all stones like the ones I have in my pocket? I'm gonna say likely. Yes. Oh, I'm not showing it again. So no and yes. So it sounds to me like every rune is like a nugget of knowledge, it's like a TM from Pokemon. You can learn something from it and study it, and it can probably change the world. I want to come up with a really cool name for what these objects are going to be called. So I don't know if I ever got clarification. Are the runes the stone or the writing on the stone? Are the runes the stone? (50-50). Yes, most definitely the stone. And maybe those runes are just written on there to, you know, maybe I wrote those on there. Did I write those on there? And maybe were they written on there? Let me say likely. Yeah. Okay. So runes are small stones. Well, they come in different shapes and sizes, but they all look like this. Runes are stones of varying sizes. How big can they get? Can they become larger than a person? Larger than me? 50-50. No. What about larger than my torso? 50-50. Yes. Wow. Wow. I imagine, you know, runes that are just stationary and things are built around them because of whatever capability a rune has. You know, which is probably a form, you know, form follows function is probably applied across the board with runes, because the runes are chaotic in the sense of they are capable of so much, you don't know what you're going to get. And so you hope to build a life around a rune that you have. If you can change lives with a rune, you build your life around that, probably. So they're life-changing, it sounds like. Life-changing. Etymology is really important when I'm world building. Not all the time, but most of the time. I want there to be a history and a logic as to why something is named something. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but I want these stones to be something that has to do with changing them, like changing life. Transform. Make through or dramatic change in the form, appearance, or character of. Alter, convert, transfigure. I like reconstruct. I like the way that sounds. Reconstruct, because essentially what you're doing is you're reconstructing your life around you, which is kind of meta in the sense. You're whatever capability emerges from this rune when you come in contact with it, it's going to change something about your life. It's going to change something about the meta. And I think that's appropriate for this world that we're in. Reconstruct your existence. Reconstruct survivability. No, because it's not always going to be about survival. Reconstruct. What's reconstruct in another language? Hanaho in Hawaiian. Tofa'afu means to refresh, revive. I like that. Refresh, revive. Tofa'afu.
Tofafu. 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 Tofafu.
Tofafu. So tofafu in Samoan means revive, refresh. Like Samoan, I like the way it sounds. And I like the idea, the concept of the name of this rune being based off of the fact that something is being changed. That person isn't usually capable of such a thing, so by having this rune doing it for you, it's changing your reality. It's a boon. Boonstone. That's too close to runestone though. Boonstone. I like boon though. In Samoan, boon is manuia. Manuia. M-A-N-U-I-A. Manuia. Manuia. I like boon. I like natural boon. I like nature. Meta boon. Meta boon. It's created by nature. They all look like rock. I like boon rock. Boon rock. It sounds very simple, familiar, but new. I like boon rock better than boonstone because boonstone sounds like runestone. Boon rock. Boon rock. Boon rock. Rocks that provide boons. All dependent upon who interacts with it. Of many magnitudes of capabilities. As long as you know how to use it. So lots of red tape, lots of gates. Lots of gates there. Not only do you have, is it behind a race gate, it's behind a knowledge gate, and then you have to touch it. That has a that's pretty cool. You know what? You know, another reason why I really think that's dope is because if you don't have the knowledge, you know someone who does. I would like to think that, you know, there could be some sort of synergy and cooperation. That's the one static thing I would like, is for that one thing to be in common between all of the strangers that I create in this world, and ones, whether they're for myself or for y'all, is that the one thing we have in common is the Black Tower. And what I envision is us working together to survive in this world, with the Black Tower being our home base. You know, think of like the Justice League. You know, this is our home base here. Everybody's going to go and do their own thing, but the Black Tower for now is always going to be home to you. And the strangers that came from it. You know, I kind of alluded to that in the first session, where I said that there was a sort of a connection between my stranger and the Black Tower. All right, so we have our runes figured out. It is boon rock. Boon rock. Now I need to figure out the one that I have. What is it capable of? And this is very important to me, because this boon rock, now that I have a name of it, I'm going to change my name too. So I kind of like boon rock, but I can't, my first name can't be Boonseer. Boonseer. Seer Boon. Whom Seer Boon. Him Seer Boon. First Seer Boon. One Seer Boon. I like Him Seer Boon. Like it's him. Or the one Seer Boon. The one Boon Seer. No. The one, I like Seer Boon. That's like Senor Boon and shit. Like Seer Boon. It sounds nice. Seer Boon. Because I'm still a seer. A seer of boons. Call me Seer Boon. Hand me your boon rocks. Seer Boon. Seer Boon? I like that. Yo. Seer Boon. Seer Boon. Sonic Boon. Damn, that sounds nice. Seer Boon. Actually, I think I'm gonna put a him in front of that. I don't know, I just think that's a dope prefix. Him hyphen Seer Boon. Him hyphen Seer Boon. Him Seer. Yo. My name is Him Seer Boon. I have knowledge of uncommon things. Him Seer Boon. Him Seer Boon. I gotta figure out what my rune does. Oh, I'm sorry. I gotta figure out what my boon rock does. Cause this boon rock is like a weapon to me. I have a worn sword, but I don't use swords. I was lucky enough to get one of two runes that I can use, and so hopefully this will make me less vulnerable if it's something good. Using my RPG solo potency table, I want to see what kind of magnitude we're dealing with here for this stone. Maximum. That's the highest. That's the highest. Whatever the stone is capable of, this boon rock is capable of, it's going to be the maximum at that. I'm gonna be honest, I feel guilty. I feel guilty rolling good at the beginning, especially with rules that people are unfamiliar with, but understand that potency is used to determine the magnitude of a creature's, or the magnitude of something. And this world is completely unleveled, meaning that we're gonna come across things that are way stronger than us, whether it's good or bad for us. And that's true survival. I mean, that's how I play my Skyrim when I mod it up, and I could turn around a corner and die. But I have a boon rock. I have one boon rock that I can't understand. I'm hoping it's a very effective boon rock, and now I have a boon rock that I do understand, and it's very impactful apparently, and we're about to see what it can do. Because if I'm about to rule a town, I'm about to rule a castle, I'm about to rule a kingdom. If it's, you know, I'm just one character in this world. I'm gonna have many more characters too. So maybe I can make somebody, I can do something with this guy, you know. I don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me figure out what this thing can do. Alright, so let's roll to see what this boon rock is capable of. I'm going to roll on the skill table. So the same skill table that we roll our skills on, I'm going to roll on there, because essentially this is giving me another skill. It's giving me another capability, and that is finite but recharges. So this should be interesting. I'm excited for this. There's nothing like, you know, when you gain things for your character that make you like your character even more. What is this boon rock capable of? Balance. Balance. What kind of balance? Dominate opulence. Opulence. Great wealth or luxuriousness. Dominate opulence. Great wealth or luxuriousness. Great wealth or luxuriousness. Dominate opulence. Balance. Dominate opulence. Yo, I thought it was odd that I would discover a fancy bedroll in this tower. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Balance, dominate opulence. The way I interpret that that this boon rock gives me some influence over odds, the balances, the scales of opulence, the scales of luxuriousness, and it gives me the influence, and it allows me to dominate it. So when I found that blanket, maybe the blanket turned into luxuriousness. Maybe this is like a luck boon rock that affects the quality of things that I encounter in my life. Great wealth or luxuriousness. So the way I'm going to apply that to a mechanic is, whenever I want to use this boon rock or really activate it, maybe it's passive on its own, I'm going to ask. But whenever I ask a question, whenever I discover something, encounter something, or am given something, or have something, or found something, I can change the odds of it being very valuable by adding favor points to the question. In Mythic rules, you give yourself favor points whenever you accomplish something. That's one of the ways of rewarding yourself, and favor points get added to the total result. Now, favor points is not something. It's supposed to be something. It's something you don't get a lot of often. You want to save them, and you only get them for major accomplishments, and then for using it for things like this. So I'm going to allot myself a certain amount of favor points to simulate the finite charge of the boon rock. So let me ask first. Do I have control? Because they're all operated differently, right? They're all operated differently. Do I have control over when I get to dominate the scales of opulence and balance? Do I have control? I'm going to say 50-50. No. Whenever I'm being given something or being presented with something, so I can contribute favor points to see if something is of higher quality or more value. This is the maximum. Let me ask, how much power in terms of resource does this boon rock have exactly? In the question of the maximum potency, is that speaking to the power? Because I'm not going to say it's across the board. I'm not going to say it's just overpowered in general. Something about it is going to justify why it's maximum. But I'm going to be fair and ask, is it the pool of its power? Is it large? I'm going to say somewhat likely, being that it's maximum potency. I'm going to say likely, actually, as opposed to just declaring it. I'm going to roll for that. Yes, it has a large pool. Does the maximum potency speak to the magnitude as well? I'm going to say somewhat likely. Yes. So let's see, how many favor points should I get daily to contribute toward asking these questions? I'm going to roll, because maximum is double the potency, I'm going to roll 2d100s and plus 2d100 plus 50. 2d100 plus 50. No, 2d100 plus 1. 2d100 plus 100. If I roll 2 1s and a 50, 52 that's not high magnitude. At minimum, I should be able to have 100. 216. This stone affects the balance. It allows me to dominate the scales of what is considered what is considered valuable and luxurious and wealthy, which is dope. I'm gonna say 25 daily. I get 25 daily. This boon rock allows Hemseer Boon to dominate the scales of what is considered valuable and luxurious. When asking the question of value or worth, you can add favor points to the outcome. What I'm curious about is how is this actually operated? You know, this is something that I'm going to be role playing, so it's important to know how to operate this rune. It's passive. I have no control over it, right? And to balance it out, when I do encounter something that is of wealth or value that wasn't initiated by me, I'm going to consider that the boon rock acting on its own and still deduct. Going to deduct 50 points to kind of simulate the fact the boon rock is always working out of my control. You know what? Because this is at I'm being too modest here. I rolled maximum, and I feel like this should be way better than it is, but I need to get a better sense of things. So the deeper I get into the game, the better and more polished I'll get. But for now, I'm going to lean back a little bit. But I am going to change this minus 50 favor when discovering high value without invoking the boon rock. I'm going to change it to minus 25. Because at the end of the day, it's still a penalty. Normally, a person, when they encounter something good, it was just happenstance. But because I'm saying that it's the stone doing it, and I'm opting to be charged for that as opposed to just saying it's free. I don't want, when I get great things, I don't want to say, oh look, I got something that was of high value and didn't even have to use my stone, because that makes my boon rock worthless. I want to always be able to say everything I've gotten that was of high value was because of my boon rock, just for the sake of role play and flavor. You feel me? Y'all feel me? All right. Limitations. Setting boundaries is the key to solo role playing, especially when you're using Mythic. It's relying on you to set boundaries. And so just for, you know, just to entertain and just to humor myself, I'm gonna ask RPG Solo for just a little bit of detail on what is the logic, what is the brain power, what is the method, what is the method behind the madness of tapping and invoking into this boon rock, this particular boon rock. What is the method? I'll ask a complex question. Extravagance, rumor. Okay, so the want to be extravagant, to generate discussion about you amongst the people, you know, so that rumors are spreading, you being on the lips and within the eyes of the public. You have to have that want. That's the source. That vanity is where this is coming from. It has something to do with that. I'm going to ask for a description of what exactly, you know, am I doing with that emotion, with that vice. Carefully ancient. So the deep, ancient desire of being rich, the deeper your vice is for the material things, the more powerful you are with this boon rock. It draws from selfishness. So it's more about willing and wanting. Perpetulux. Perpetulux. Perpetual luxury. Perpetulux. Perpetulux. The Perpetulux. I like with the Perpetulux because every boon rock in itself is different than any other boon rock. So you can give it a name like the Perpetulux, you know, just like the Infinity Stones, the Fate Stone, or the Space Stone, the Time Stone, you know what I mean? They are different from each other. They are all Infinity Stones, but they all have their own dominion over certain things. Perpetulux, you know, this boon rock has dominion over luxury, wealth, and value, and it's in my possession. Memory comes flooding back into my mind. I remember now. I had an innate purpose to unravel all known mysteries surrounding these rocks, these boon rocks, and it was I of few who had the knowledge to harness their boundless capabilities. The boon rock in my hand flickers and vibrates as the connection between I and it warms to the touch, and as if never forgotten, I whisper its name upon my tongue. Perpetulux. The big-eared male looks over his shoulder at me, cupping my hands, whispering to myself. Discreetly slide the boon rock back into my bag, along with my other belongings. When it comes to the items that we collect in our travels, every item is important. This is survival, so every item has value. It's going to be important, and you're going to need to figure out how to use everything. Currently, I have a worn sword. When I rolled the sword, I rolled poorly, and it ended up being not all that. I have a worn sword. I have a bedroll, a fancy bedroll, courtesy of the Perpetulux. And I have the Perpetulux and a mysterious boon rock. I'm going to go ahead and put these things, in my inventory on my profile that I created on my World Anvil page. This is totally optional, but I heavily encourage anyone who plans on having a character within Peoplz and Dragons and playing during streams to come to the World Anvil, add your character to our world. And as you go along and grow, you can use these role-playing tools that World Anvil provides. This is an entire social wall for your character. You can create a character on the site for free and then connect them to my world, Peoplz and Dragons, as well as other people's worlds. Come to our world, come to World Anvil, create a site, create a character, for free. Connect them. There is a link on the Peoplz and Dragons website to create a character profile. If it doesn't work, let me know in the comments. Sometimes it could be a little wonky. Here's my character profile. I can leave a post, people can see it, they can like it. Thoughts and ideas, achievements, life achievements. Hey, I reached level 3, yeah. relationships, travel, education, quotes. You can put little quotes from your character, artwork and images of your character. Hopefully, you know, you have some fan art of your own character. That's why I like to keep the profile pictures a base design very minimal, so leaves it up, the rest up to your imagination. People are going to see this like a social media on this World Anvil site. You can get updates to let you know when other people posted things if you're following them. Here's your about page, quick profile, appearance, mentality, personality, social status, equipment, which is what I'm about to fill out now, your scrapbook, a gallery, a journal. You can share your journal entries of your character. Things that'll kind of keep you busy in between the next time you explore the Meta Black on a live stream. I got to figure out what I look like. You know, I'm using bare bones visuals, which is another reason why I'm really trying to decide on whether I want to continue using Talespire, which was the CGI tabletop miniatures that you saw in that first session. I started off with that, and then I started putting together like little visuals and using assets that I had. And then as the story went on and I was learning that I can pretty much create whatever I want with the assets that I have, I started leaning more towards the visuals. One, because of the aesthetic of the black and white matches what I'm going for, and the simplicity of what I'm going for, and the symbology behind it. And then two, I can create whatever I want. Whereas with Talespire, I'm constricted to miniatures that really don't look like what I'm trying to portray, and it could be very confusing. So I'm actually considering not using Talespire to show certain elements. I might use it to show buildings and stuff like that. I think I might still find other ways to utilize it. But as far as the visuals, I think I'm going to lean more towards the assets. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I really do care about what you think. So if you have any input on what you would prefer, if you like Talespire and want to see me continue to use it, you're not bothered by the fact that there's a knight with a sword representing an amorphous, big-eared humanoid creature, then let me know, because I'm curious. So I want to start rolling descriptions. Whenever a stranger is rolled, I'm going to roll one for myself, but whenever a stranger is rolled, I'm going to roll 3 pairs of descriptions, using the complex description button from RPG Solo and combining them all together to get a general idea of what the stranger looks like. What do I look like? Deliberately bizarre. Ferociously disgusting. Damn. Ferociously disgusting. Ferociously disgusting? That's another level. Jeez. Deliberately bizarre. Ferociously disgusting. What am I? Alright, let's get another one. Last one. Enormously ancient. Alright. This is gonna get dark, but this is what I'm going with. It is deliberately bizarre that I have something jammed in between my third eye to represent my third eye. I have something jammed in there like an enormously ancient boon rock lodged into my forehead, and it's ferociously disgusting. It's ferociously disgusting the way that looks. I have deliberately lodged a boon rock into my forehead. It's ferociously disgusting and enormously ancient. It's probably a little bit larger than one of my eyes. How's that? He steps closer and examines my face, surveying me from chin to crown. His eyes linger upon the Perpetulux boon rock embedded in my forehead. If I'm fortunate, they will not suspect the supernatural rock at a glance, but I prepare for questions anyway. Instead, he takes a jab at how unappealing the rock looks jammed into my skull. It did look bad. The flesh surrounding the boon rock was severely scarred, Perpetulux was oblong and rough around every edge. That's what made it easy to drive halfway into my skull in what would be one of many bizarre boon rock experiments I can vaguely recall. The thing is, I didn't care nor ask for his opinion, and felt an urge to slap him, but kept my composure. In terms of my alignment, there was a moment in that first session where I purposefully chose to lean towards neutral. I don't know who is the enemy yet. I don't really fully trust the people I'm with. I don't know who's good or bad, to be honest with you, based off of what I've seen so far. So I remember at that time wanting to stay, because I don't have all my memories, I don't know who I am. I don't want to lean in any particular direction yet, but honestly, I'm thinking of going evil based off of my new stone that I woke up with. But yeah, the part when I chose to deceive the big-eared fella, lead him out by sword point in order to get close to the enemy, that was a neutral option as opposed to attacking him or actually giving him off, because that would be evil. Or not putting him at sword point and hiding behind the table like I was pretending I was gonna do. That would be good. I wanted to lean towards neutral because I'm not sure which direction I want to go, but I think I'm going to lean towards evil. And yes, even though my character is evil, it doesn't mean I can't coexist with people who live in the Black Tower, strangers who live in the Black Tower who aren't evil. All it means is tasks that require an evil person, I'll be able to take care of. So we're covered across the board. But until, I don't know much about these folks, but that's all going to change soon. I stare down the most appealing beast in all of the land and abruptly make my way past him. Finally remembering the fancy bedroll's other purposes, I retrieve it and fashion it into a headscarf. It was swanky, light, and served best as head covering should I not want attention drawn to my bizarre scars. My people, thanks for joining in on this solo venture. Just a final note before we go, I decided to utilize my rolled skill, alertness, that you can see right there, highlighted in yellow. I decided to use it as a passive strength, as opposed to a skill that I would use during a challenge, just due to the nature of the skill itself. I think it makes more sense that way. I kind of want it to be somewhat natural when that's utilized. It's also a good time to share that this is no different than any tabletop game. So if I notice that changes need to be made, I'll do it sooner than later for the sake of consistency, which is probably one of the biggest pros of solo role-playing. This is your session, this is your game, this is your settings. You fix what you want to fix, change what you want to change. What will we learn about these big-eared folk? And why are they being chased out of the region? Please like and subscribe, and stay tuned for the next session.